Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Obert Gutu on YouTube. My name is Obert Gutu. I'm the senior and founding partner of Gutu and Shikowero Attorneys at Law. This is a law firm headquartered in Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe in Southern Africa. I am also the former Deputy Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs in the Republic of Zimbabwe. We proceed today with our very interesting topic of land reform in Zimbabwe. We had been of late discussing the issue of the compensation that the government of Zimbabwe agreed to give or to pay to former white commercial farmers whose farms were confiscated by the state for redistribution to landless black Zimbabweans. The land reform program in Zimbabwe, like I said earlier, it started on a very low-key basis soon after independence in 1980, 81, thereabouts. But then the real radical land reform exercise took place at the turn of the century. That was in February 2000. And this is when we have now this very topical and historic land reform program, which I believe has been discussed all over the world at various fora. My own personal view regarding the payment of compensation to former white commercial farmers is that, yes, it is a constitutional requirement because in terms of Section 295 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, the government of Zimbabwe is actually obliged to compensate these farmers for the cost of the improvements that they effected on the farms. When I talk of the improvements, I'm talking of the physical improvements, like if they constructed a dam or dams, if they put on irrigation infrastructure, if they build farmhouses, if they build sheds, tobacco barns, etc., etc. So for all those what we call improvements, permanent improvements on the farms that they used to own, then the government is obliged to compensate them. But then we're talking now also at the quantum of the compensation. We're talking of no less than 3.5 billion US dollars, which by taking into account the small size of the Zimbabwean economy, it's actually huge. It's a phenomenal amount. And I know for certain that the government doesn't have that kind of money in its coffers to pay to these former white farmers. And as I indicated earlier on, there is a school of thought that says that those people who directly benefited from the land reform program should also be made to pay compensation because they've actually benefited. And as I also indicated earlier on, that argument actually has a lot of traction because normally they say for you to really appreciate the asset that you have or you've been given by the state, it's also better that at least you put in something so that you'd be able to take it seriously and hopefully be able to end up being a viable commercial farmer in your own right. So the issue really of compensation is a very topical issue, and we are saying should the taxpayers in Zimbabwe pay the 3.5 billion to these former white commercial farmers who I believe numbered at their peak between 4,500 and 5,000 white commercial farmers. Of course, most of them are now very old. Some of them have since died. But we are saying, be that as it may, of course, the rule of law says we have to obey our own constitution because in Zimbabwe, we say the constitution is the supreme law of the land. But then there are all those various issues that we also have to take into account to say, is it fair for the ordinary taxpayers in Zimbabwe to pick up the tabs and pay this 3.5 billion US dollars to these former white commercial farmers or the surviving members of their families? I believe that this money has to be found somewhere. How it's going to be found, I honestly do not know. But I am of the very strong view that it is not fair for this money to come straight from taxpayers' money because you find that about 600,000 people benefited from the A1 resettlement scheme. The A1 scheme is the one that targeted the small scale, the smallholder resettlement scheme that obviously benefited a lot of former communal farmers in Zimbabwe who were then resettled on larger pieces of land. Some got about 10 hectares, some got 20 hectares, I think up to about 40 hectares. And then there's the A2 scheme. The A2 scheme was the what is referred to as the large-scale resettlement scheme, where people got from about 100 hectares, some got 150 hectares, some got 200 hectares, some even got up to 2,000 hectares, depending on the natural region. Because you find in the western parts of the country, like Matabeleland North, Matabeleland South, which are semi-arid, and also parts of Mashingo, Chiredzi, Mwenezi, those kind of areas. People were getting huge, pieces of land because it's natural region 4 and 5, where you obviously need a lot of space for if you're going to do cattle ranching or stuff like that. So I believe that it is only fair that maybe government of Zimbabwe might actually have to negotiate with the former colonial partner, with Great Britain, with the United Kingdom, to say, how then do we have this compensation money, obtained? Where are we going to get the money? Because why should the bulk or the majority of Zimbabwean taxpayers, most of whom have not directly benefited from the land reform, be made to pick up the tabs? And I believe that is an issue that is really a serious subject for debate for another day, because it is only fair that at least those people who directly benefited, particularly in the large-scale resettlement scheme, they should, I believe, somehow there must be a mechanism designed to at least make them contribute for the cost of improvements on those farms that they personally were allocated, that they got the offer letters from government. Because I think it's only fair, because those are the people who directly benefited. And it's only fair that if you directly benefited from that commercial farm being allocated to you, I think it's only fair that you also be made to pay something towards the cost of the improvements. So I'll leave it at that for now. Tomorrow, maybe we are going to still continue with part 4, because this was part 3 of the land reform program. But there, I believe that these are very topical issues which we really have to unpack and to go to the very bottom of the matter, so that not only Zimbabweans, but also the whole world understands what the land reform exercise in Zimbabwe has been all about. So as a parting shot, I will invite you to click the subscribe button at the end of the video. After watching this video, you can follow me on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is at Gutu Obert. You can also follow me on Facebook. My official Facebook page is Obert Gutu. Have a good day, a goodbye, and God bless.